Wow, 25 years of owning MediaSource. That's a long time, and nothing has changed, right? Like it's all stayed the same.
Oh my gosh, 25 years, right? Nothing has changed in the world. Nothing has changed in the company.
There's been no major events.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. It's been a great 25 years. But when I look back to where we started to where we are now, so much has changed. You know, when we first started out, we were telling video stories. Nobody else was doing that. Nobody was doing content marketing. So we were doing that since day one. We still do it, but we're doing it in a much more modern and different way.
Yeah.
You know, there are lots more digital. I mean, you know, people weren't really doing digital back then. People weren't really using social media back then. I mean, I think there's maybe like MySpace or something like that 25 years ago.
I don't even
there was no TikTok.
Right.
There's just been so many changes. I mean, from, you know, the recession in 2008, 2009 to the pandemic to just the digital revolution to now AI coming. You just have to keep going and just keep with it because it's always going to change.
So obviously a lot has changed since 1998. How have things changed with clients? Like, have you had the same clients over the 25 years? How did you really get your start with a client being like, yes, please start producing videos for me. I trust you.
It wasn't that easy. I wish it was. I was at the time, well, I worked at a health show, a syndicated health show for a while. When that show ended, I started doing freelance work around town in Columbus, Ohio.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
That's
one
cool.
of the clients was the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center, and the PR person at the time, Sue Jablonski, we were doing some marketing videos together, and I approached her and I said, hey, I really think if we can do some new style videos, we could get not only local, statewide, but probably national coverage for the organization. And I remember she said, okay, let's try it. Don't make me look bad. So here we are 25 years later. Yeah. And the thing is, Colleen, we still have Ohio State Wexner as a client 25 years later. That really doesn't happen. And I feel really proud of that.
Yeah, and just, you know, we talk about how different it was when you first started the business. So what has been one of the biggest changes that you've made in terms of how you work with clients?
Well, I think at the beginning we were kind of generalists. So we were working with clients like the Ohio State University Medical Center, Nationwide Children's Hospital, but we also had a lot of retail clients. We were working with Lane Bryant, Limited Brands, Victoria's Secret. And I think what happened was when we hit the recession in 2008, 2009, many of those retail clients pulled back and they were only doing maybe seasonal campaigns where all of our healthcare clients, you know, just kept marching on all through the year. So we made the decision at the time to really focus on healthcare. And, you know, now we're one of the most widely respected healthcare PR firms in the country. So I think it was a good decision at the time.
Yeah, that is such a smart pivot to be able to move that way, kind of look at your current clients and be like, okay, well, this is what's happening in the fashion industry. How can we pivot and move? So that is super smart. Do you think that MediaSource would ever get back into anything with fashion clients? Because I know it's a passion of yours.
I loved it. Yeah, I mean, I actually studied not only communications but fashion merchandising in college. So when we were doing those types of projects, it really was rewarding for me because it was a couple of passions combined. Yeah. I would never say never. I will say I am so proud of what we're doing in the healthcare industry because healthcare is in the spotlight. It's more important now than ever before, especially over the past 3 years. Like, I mean, who could even have ever imagined everything that we've gone through? The pandemic was just crazy, especially working with healthcare clients.
Oh, absolutely. Tell me about the impact that you think MediaSource makes in the healthcare industry, but also communities as a whole.
So when you work in PR and communications, we're telling stories. And I think that MediaSource actually tells stories that matter. We get to tell the stories that make a difference. We get to tell stories of new medical innovations, of people who are sick now feeling fine and, you know, getting a treatment that could be life-saving. So I feel like the stories that we are telling, and not just telling, but showing everyone. We're not just creating stories, we're getting them out there to the masses. I think that it makes a really big impact, and I feel really proud about that.
What are some of the most impactful stories or most memorable stories from the past 25 years?
Okay, so you know how people always joke about breaking the internet? Well, MediaSource actually broke the internet for a healthcare story we did for a client. It's a real story. So we were working with the Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center. They had a self-administered test that could identify if you might have memory problems or you might develop them down the line. So you could download this from their website. So we worked with them to do a story. It was a video story. And we were working with NBC Nightly News, and NBC Nightly News did the story. And after the story aired, there were so many people that were downloading this test from the hospital's website that their website crashed.
The best type of problem to have.
Right. It was like, and so then, they're calling us like, what's going on? And we're like, well, didn't you hire us to do this? Right? Isn't that what you want to happen? So the health stories are really, really memorable. I think, early on we did some stories with Lane Bryant that were really groundbreaking. I can remember being at a photo shoot and, we were staging the first plus-size lingerie show, and there were conversations being had about like, is this woman who's a larger woman in a sexy bra going to offend people?
Can you imagine that today?
Right.
Totally different times.
Exactly. And so I think we were really on the cutting edge of some groundbreaking things early on, and it was nice to be part of that.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about stories from big business moments over the 25 years. What have been some of the most exciting moments in owning MediaSource?
Wow. Okay. So thinking,
It's a big question.
It's a big question. It's a blur, actually. Yeah. I think that probably one of our biggest moments early on is when we sort of made the pivot to brand ourselves as brand journalism. And it was like in 2013, 2014, nobody was talking about it at the time. And content marketing was not a thing. It was all either press releases or corporate speak. There was no marketing content from the brand that was consumer focused. And we were really among the first brands to do that. And so I think when we branded ourselves as brand journalism, we went out and we sort of educated the industry about what that was and how to tell stories from your brand without it seeming like a commercial. That felt really big, and for me as a person, for the business, and for the industry.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's another thing too, that it seems so typical today. Like brands do need to be telling stories and talking to their customers versus talking at them. It's just weird thinking about a moment when that wasn't typical and how much has changed in the industry. It's been 25 years, and MediaSource is continuing to grow. What's the future look like?
I think the future looks like continuing to be the storytellers that we are and trying to find new ways to get those stories to the target audience. Because I think that is probably the biggest pain point in storytelling right now. Every brand has a million stories to tell, right? They've got all these stories, they tell them, and they can't get anyone to see them. And I think companies like MediaSource that not only know how to tell stories, but we know how to get them in front of the right people to see them, that's the key.
Celebrating 25 years, is there any final message that you want to share?
I think it's thank you. I mean, just thank you to our clients, to the team at MediaSource. This could not have been done without a huge amount of people and their support. So from believing in me, for just being there, I think it makes me feel really grateful to just have all the support that we've had. So I just want to say thanks.
And I know you, Lisa, as someone who stays very busy and active and also helping people in the community or just, your friends and family, you're there for people. Yeah. And I just want to say, I know you're a busy bee. I hope that you take a moment to celebrate all that you have accomplished with this. It's a big deal and you should be so proud of yourself.
I will celebrate, Pauline.
Cheers.
Cheers to 25 years.